çekmişti. Geçmiş olsun. Zor bir gün geçirmişsiniz.
Hi! Welcome back. Miss me? Well, I miss being passionate about a project that doesn't drag for 8 months. So, what's a better time than creating my favorite hyperfixation? She's been featured in magazine covers more than any model, sold over 97 million copies of games, and has been the face of girl power ever since the 90s. Yes, you saw it from the title. Today we're making Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. I think the word obsession is not enough to explain how much I'm in love with the series. Ever since I saw that woman drawing her guns at a T-Rex, I have been enchanted. I played every single game in the series multiple times. I watched every film, cartoon, documentary, fan edit on Earth. I made a cosplay of her. Hell, I even made myself a little Lara Croft shrine in my vanity. Lara Croft means so many things to so many people, and everyone has their own unique version of her. What I personally love about the character is her fearlessness, snarky comments with not giving a single fuck attitude, looking fierce doing it, and always getting what she wants. Me and my twin couldn't be more different people, but thanks to Lara, we had so many bonding memories, playing, watching, or even just talking about her. A true cultural icon in every sense of the word, and it's one of few things I will never get tired of. So, without further ado, let's meet today's doll. Today we're getting a little posh and using a new doll for repainting instead of recycling. This is Barbie Basics Icon Collection number 5. Lara Croft has been the definition of capability for me, so her arsenal and her body should be a byproduct of that. With that being the key point, I came up with this. So let's get cooking. I'm starting by taking off the original outfit and the hair. We have a lot of body modification to do, but let's start with her most iconic feature, her braid. As you can see, this doll's hair is quite thick, and I want it to be more realistic, almost like a whip. So first thing we do, carefully pick out the hairline. And after tying the surplus parts, I cut them and save it for another project. I first tried to push the remaining hair with a nail dotting tool, but it wasn't working, so I proceeded with an orange stick and scrape off the remaining hair, then removed it with the tweezers. After 2 failed attempts, I locked the fuck in and did the most beautiful braid on earth. After securing with an elastic band, I shortened her fringe and used boiling hot water to lay it down. Don't forget the ends! Easy peasy, let's move on to the body. I secure the hair with a piece of fabric and start removing the factory flows. Sanding inside was getting a little messy, so I finished the rest on the balcony. After removing all the unwanted details, I gently go over the entire body with 100% acetone to melt the plastic and remove any marks left from sanding. Now we can move on to the face. This doll's face is so pretty, I almost feel guilty for removing it, but we have to make sacrifices for art. With a makeup remover pad and a pure acetone, I took off the whole face. After cleaning the doll with soap and water, we can start the modifications. For this, we are going to use Milliput, which is unfortunately unavailable in my country anymore. With all those acrobatic moves, mountain climbing and swimming, my Lara should look like an Olympic athlete rather than a skinny model, so we are going to buff her up using female bodybuilders and athletes as a reference. I began sculpting carefully so I don't limit the joints. Personally, I couldn't care less about her breast size, even though the character isn't famous for them. But with all the added muscle, I'm adding a little extra putty to match the proportions to the rest of her body. While enlarging her bust, I also added chest muscles, because I'm pretty sure she can bench press more than Nathan Drake. When I'm happy with the progress that I made, I clean all the excess putty and let her cure for 3 to 4 hours. When the putty dries, I go for a second round, adding more details. Using real reference photos got a little insufficient, so I used the help of my childhood action man as a reference and kept on sculpting. And of course, I had to use leftover putty for something, so I made some of her accessories beforehand. After leaving the doll cure overnight, I used the acetone once again to remove any unwanted stains from the putty. Sculpting is done. Time to paint. To avoid brush strokes, I use a paint mixture of 60% paint and 40% water. Don't forget, the acrylics get darker when they dry, so make sure to make your paint a little lighter than the designated color. After painting a million coats, I splatter watered down acrylic paint to give the skin a more realistic look by adding freckles and patting it down with a napkin to make them more subtle. Time for the one, the only MSG! After spraying the entire body and face, I shave off my chalk pastels and start with shading without blowing them this time. I sketch out initial outlines with a lighter watercolor pencil and gradually go darker and add more details. When I'm satisfied with the progress that I made, I spray another coat and pick it up where I left off after it dries. It usually takes around 3 to 5 coats of drawing. Where pencils fall short, I switch to acrylic paint for the eyes, lips, and add little details like scar on her cheek. And we're done! I am so happy with the outcome of her face. The smirk, the eyes, it's exactly like my concept art. We did it, Joe! Or so I thought. I woke up this morning and I just hated everything. It's not that noticeable on camera, but I realized the face was a few shades darker than her body. I was willing to look past it, but it reminded me of a real sour image, and after seeing that, I just couldn't ignore it. So, my initial plan was just to remove the skin and keep the face and work around it, but after a while, I realized I was rowing against the current, so I had to make a hard decision and start all over again. Same process as before, mark the general shape, make sure the proportions are right, use layers to give it more depth, and go easy on bronzer if you don't want to do it a third time. For this face up, I don't bother with acrylics, deciding that it was covering all the small details that I drew with the pencils. I'm very happy to report, I think I liked this face up better than the first one. It was intimidating to restart the whole process, but it was definitely worth it in the end. Now that we passed that debacle, we can move on to the outfit. Instead of basic tank top, I'm giving her a bathing suit so she can show off her addiness. I found this sock in a dollar store and it was just the perfect teal color. I'm using Doll's original outfit to make patterns and cut the fabric with the seam allowance. Unfortunately, my new sewing machine was being used by my mother, so I'm going to sew everything by hand. After adding a snap to the backside, we can move on to the holsters. I was going to order some black leather online. Luckily, I came across these black office chairs on my way home, and you know how much I love recycling. So with my keys, I just cut off a big chunk and washed it immediately with soap and water. I cut 2 small and 1 big rectangle, and after marking it right in the middle, I used hot glue and fold both sides in for a smooth finish. After finishing the belt part, I figure it will be wiser if I finish the shorts, so the holsters wouldn't be too snug. So apparently, we're moving on to that. I cut the cuff of an old pant of mine and work around the stitches that are already made to save some time. It's a little tight, but no problem. With the shorts being finished, we can pick up the holsters from where we left off. I used the metal end of a lighter to push the needle in tough parts and finish the whole thing in one sitting. And don't forget the gloves! Don't forget the gloves! At this point, I was still trying to decide if I wanted to make her boots from scratch or use these Live Doll boots, but I couldn't decide, so I'm focusing on her backpack and let the future heart handle that problem. Backpack making process was quite straightforward. Was it time consuming? Yes. Was all the effort worth it in the end? Hell yeah! The fringe was getting out of control, so using my X-Acto knife, I made small incisions behind her ears so she can tuck her hair behind them. Thanks to my lovely twin, I 3D printed some of her accessories beforehand to make sure the holsters were the right size. Time for boots! Unfortunately, they were not my ego boots and made me want to go into jump in the Bosphorus. The first one just looked like a leather sock and the second one was too small, so for the third time, I added extra to the sides and sewed all the corners. After making sure this one wasn't too small, I sewed in the tongue and started lacing, which required a lot of precision and planning, but it was fun kind of work, so no worries. When the leather part is done, I cut and glue a piece of cardboard and start sculpting using milliput again. I also sculpt accessories with an air dry clay because this project was meant to come out in February 14th and I need to speed up. To help with the sculpting, I made paper cutouts, and while the glue gun was getting hot, I used wire to make belt buckles and her iconic shades. I'm using a mixture of hot glue and epoxy putty to make her MacGuffins from all her adventures. After hours of sculpting and a T-Rex surgery later, we're going to leave them cure overnight. For her necklace, I braided threads and added green bead for jade. Add metal and leather parts to add details to everything that I made. I also went to give her some pins for her backpack because I think Lara is punk at heart. After drawing two flags, I add top coat UV resin and cure them. They didn't fit in the bag, so I added them to the shoulder straps. Time for more sanding. Yay! First, the bottom of her shoes, then the rest of her accessories. I clean my workspace and start with the painting. After dyeing everything with a base black, I then dry brush with a lot of grace to give that metallic and lived-in look. To achieve that, dab your brush in a lighter color just a tiny bit, then remove any excess paint by brushing on the palette. With what's left on your brush, gently go over details and highlight what's already in there. For metal and golden parts, I bring up my handy gel nail set and use gel polish for the base and metallic nail powder I ordered from online, which came in like this. Don't forget to seal everything with a top coat in the end. For all these accessories, she's gonna need a bigger bag, so for guns, I reuse this mesh orange bag and sew the sides. And use hot glue to make a military pattern bag. For her ride, I got this cheap motorbike and customized it to the hell. For the finishing touches, I use glittery paint to shimmer things up. Once the painting job is done, seal everything with a varnish. Twice. Wow, look at all this prettiness! After dressing Lara, we can finally hit the road. Wow, this took a hot minute, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Creating my ultimate idol was so fun, and as we move into the next chapter in the franchise, I'm really proud to share this with you all. I cannot wait for the TV show and the new Tomb Raider games that are coming out. Hype is definitely there, and I like what I'm seeing so far, but that's for another video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like to support me, like, share, and subscribe, or maybe check out my Patreon. I'm working really hard to make a website for all my art, and there's plenty of more videos coming soon. So stay tuned. Happy Pride Month, y'all! Bye!